The nights in Islamabad and Rawalpindi are often silent, but it is a silence pregnant with conspiracies. In the corridors of power, walls don't just have ears, they have memories. For decades, a dark legend whispered among the elite about a hidden chamber beneath the old parliament ruins, a place where an ancient entity known as the Iblis sat. The demon of politics resided. This was no ordinary jinn. It was a parasite that fed on the ambition, greed, and hatred of those who sought to rule. Our story follows three childhood friends, Umair, and Ali. Once, they were inseparable, sharing meals and dreams in the small streets of their hometown. But as the sun set on their youth, the dawn of ambition rose, tearing them into three warring factions of Pakistani politics. Umair PPP, rising through the ranks of the Pakistan People's Party. Umair became the face of the Bhuttoist legacy in Sindh. He spoke of the poor, yet his heart grew cold, replaced by the rigid machinery of a feudal lord. Umair PMLN, a titan in the Punjab heartland, Umair represented the Pakistan Muslim League N. For him, power was a game of infrastructure and industry, a concrete throne built over the emotions of the masses. Ali Tai, the firebrand of the Pakistan Tehreek-e Insaf, he promised Tabduli change, rallying the youth with a fervor that bordered on religious zeal. But in his haste to change the system, he forgot to guard his own soul. The nightmare began during the secret renovation of a colonial-era assembly building. Workers broke through a sealed basement floor, releasing a thick, sentient black mist. This mist didn't dissipate. It traveled through the vents, seeking the most ambitious minds in the city. It found the three friends. Slowly, the jinn began to weave a web of paranoia. It whispered in Umair's ear that Umair was plotting to seize his lands. It told Umair that Ali was a foreign agent sent to destroy his business empire. It convinced Ali that both his friends were the mafia that needed to be eradicated by any means necessary. Within months, the three friends, once brothers, became the deadliest of enemies. The jinn fed on their televised debates, their angry tweets, and the violent clashes between their supporters. The more they hated, the more powerful the jinn became. The tension reached a boiling point at a secluded, high-security farmhouse on the outskirts of Islamabad. A reconciliation meeting had been called, but the jinn had other plans. It wanted a blood sacrifice to solidify its hold on the nation's future. Inside the dimly lit hall, the three politicians sat around a heavy mahogany table. Outside, the rain lashed against the windows like hammers. "You've spent your life looting this country," Umair, Ali hissed. His eyes, usually bright, were now pools of bottomless ink. "The time for your accountability has come." Umair slammed his fist onto the table, shattering a glass. Blood seeped from his knuckles, but he didn't blink. "And you've turned the youth into a cult. You're destroying the state just to satisfy your ego." Umair sat back, a sinister, toothy grin spreading across his face. "Why argue? When I'm in power, I'll ensure neither of you ever sees the light of day again." As they spoke, the shadows in the room began to stretch and warp. The Siyasi jinn manifested behind them, a colossal, horned entity with skin like charred parchment. It held three shimmering chains of dark energy, each tied to the hearts of the three men. As the jinn tightened the chains, the men reached for their concealed weapons. Umair pulled a jagged ceremonial dagger. Umair drew a sleek black pistol. Ali picked up a heavy marble bust of a former leader. They were seconds away from a triple homicide that would plunge the country into a civil war. The heavy oak doors didn't just open, they exploded inward. A tactical flashbang detonated, filling the room with blinding white light and a deafening roar. Through the smoke stepped a figure that looked like he was carved out of granite. Haider the Commando, an elite operator from the Special Services Group, SSG. Haider was a legend in the world of unconventional warfare. But he wasn't just trained in ballistics. He was a warrior of the spirit, carrying the legacy of a line of Sufi warriors. He wore a tactical vest over a dark camise, carrying a modified assault rifle equipped with no-retched rounds bullets engraved with protective verses. "Halt!" Haider's voice was like a thunderclap, vibrating through the floorboards. The jinn let out a screech that shattered the windows. "Haider, you are a man of the gun. You have no power here in the realm of the mind. The Jinn commanded the 3 politicians to attack. Kill the interloper, he wants your throne. Ymer, and Ali, possessed by the entity, lunged at Haider. Using his world-class close-quarters battle, CQB training, Haider moved like a ghost. He didn't use his weapon on the men. Instead, he used a series of precision strikes and pressure points to neutralize them without permanent injury. With a swift move, he pinned Ali, threw Ymer over his shoulder, and disarmed Ymer in a fluid motion. He then threw a spiritual perimeter, Hisar, a set of iron beads around the 3 men to shield them from the Jinn's direct influence. Your fight is with me, Shaitan, Haider yelled, dropping his rifle and drawing a gleaming silver combat knife. The Jinn grew in size, its shadow engulfing the entire farmhouse. It struck at Haider with claws of pure darkness. Haider dodged, reciting the Ayat al-Kursi with every breath. He pulled an ancient copper medallion, a relic of a 17th century saint, and pressed it against the Jinn's shadowy chest. The farmhouse shook as if an earthquake had hit. The Jinn screamed, a sound of 1,000 lost souls crying for mercy. I am power, I am greed, you cannot kill an idea. You are not an idea, Haider countered, his voice steady. You are a disease, and I am the cure. Haider unleashed a final spiritual strike, a concentrated burst of faith and willpower. The medallion glowed with the intensity of a dying star. The Jinn's form began to crack, black smoke leaking from its body until it finally imploded, leaving behind nothing but the smell of ozone and burnt sage. As the smoke cleared, the farmhouse fell silent. The oppressive weight that had hung over the city for months seemed to vanish. Ymer, and Ali lay on the floor, gasping for air. The blackness had left their eyes. They looked at each other, not as political rivals, but as the friends they used to be. The weapons they held felt heavy and disgusting in their hands. What have we done? Ymer whispered, his voice cracking. We almost killed each other for a ghost, Ali said, tears streaming down his face. For a chair that would have rotted under us anyway, Ymer added, looking at Haider with newfound respect. Haider stood over them, his silhouette framed by the rising moon. He began to pack his gear. Politics is a service, not a cult, he said sternly. If you let your ego sit on the throne, the devil will always sit beside you. Go back to your people. Lead with your hearts, not your hunger. The next morning, the headlines didn't speak of war or assassination. Instead, for the first time in years, the 3 leaders were seen shaking hands in a joint press conference, calling for national unity. Haider the Commando vanished back into the shadows of the military landscape, a silent guardian against the monsters that thrive in the dark. He knew the Jinn was gone, but he also knew that as long as there is power to be had, the shadows would always try to return. And if they did, the Commando would be waiting.